You know what time it is? Movie review of Captain Marvel. Overall, I was very disappointed in this movie. I'm going to give my spoiler-free review first, and then I'm going to talk about it a little bit more freely. I'll give a little spoiler warning when I switch over to talking about it. Overall, this movie was just very bland. I thought the action in this movie, which should be like the most impressive thing, I thought that was absolutely the worst part of this movie. The super climactic fight at the end, which should be like her showcasing her incredible abilities, it's so dark you can't even tell what's going on. It felt like I was sitting exactly at the front of the theater and I was only getting like 10% of what was actually going on in the action. And then it was like compounded with like shaky cam, so and it was dark. It was just like I couldn't tell what was going on at all. It was probably the worst fight scene I've ever seen in a Marvel movie. Besides the action being very subpar in this movie, I thought the writing and the dialogue was just so cringy. Like, it's awful sometimes. Some of the lines sound like they're coming from Michael Scott's Threat Level Midnight movie from The Office. It's just, they're really cheesy. And I'm not sure if it was the bad writing in this movie or if it's actually Brie Larson's acting. But Captain Marvel just came across as like very personality-less. Like, she was very bland. Yeah, Captain Marvel just had very little personality that I felt like. The amnesia she had really did not help her personality issues. I genuinely don't think Brie Larson's a terrible actress. I think she's a pretty good actress. I've seen her in some other stuff and I liked it. But man, she just comes off as like a block of wood in this movie, and so I think it must be the writing or the directing. I don't know like why they wanted her to act like a mannequin with superpowers. Like, I feel like she didn't own the character at all. Like, Wonder Woman like owns that character. Like, she walks into a room and she is Wonder Woman. With Brie Larson, it just felt like she was acting like a superhero. She didn't feel like a superhero. It felt like she was acting like a superhero, if that makes any sense. Like, with Wonder Woman, it really felt like you were watching like this badass Amazon woman destroys things and have superpowers. And then with Captain Marvel, it felt like you were watching Brie Larson like pretend to be Superman almost. It was just kind of like she didn't feel like a superhero. She just really didn't carry the weight of a really powerful character. And that's just like, it was like little things that like kind of set it off. Like the way she ran and like the way she like stood, it just felt like she was very acted and it didn't seem natural at all. Yeah, I really feel like the best way I could describe her is kind of like a mannequin that can shoot like laser beams. She just felt very robotic and very soulless, and it was just kind of off. It felt off. And then the movie wasn't all bad. There were some parts of the movie that I genuinely did like. The good parts of this movie come from Samuel L. Jackson, honestly. Like, in their interactions, those parts are genuinely good. There was some good humor in this movie. Like, there was a lot of like nostalgic stuff with 90s like internet and then computers and just like loading stuff. And it was that stuff was cute, and I wish this movie had done a lot more of that, but a lot of it was lost on me just because I was so bored with the rest of the movie. I mean, there were some parts of it that I laughed, and I think if they'd done the other parts better, I would have really loved this movie. Samuel L. Jackson really carried this movie, and when he wasn't in the scenes, the movie was just kind of flat to me. Him and the cat Goose were spectacular. I really liked the cat. The cat was awesome. But really, that's kind of about it that I liked about this movie. I thought it was the way they CGI'd Samuel L. Jackson to be young again, and then the way they did the same thing with like Agent Coulson, that was awesome. That was like, it looked like they were kids again. That was crazy that they were able to do that. And so that was cool. I wish they'd had more Agent Coulson in the movie. He would have been a welcomed addition to this kind of boring movie. Yeah, overall, I thought this movie was very bland, very skippable, and it really didn't have any impact on Endgame. Now I'm going to put a spoiler warning here. Spoilers ahead. I don't think I'm really going to spoil a whole lot, but I probably will just talking about the movie. Overall, just very disappointed in this movie. I think it would have been a lot better if they'd done something more like Thor Ragnarok. Some of the best parts of this movie are just like nostalgic 90s stuff. And then the chemistry between Nick Fury and Brie Larson is actually there. Like, they have some good on-screen chemistry. And they really should have built the movie around that and less just fighting and how powerful she is, because it didn't come across well. Like, I think my biggest complaint with this movie is just the fight scenes. They're so bland. Like, the final fight could have been so cool. Like, if I mean, especially coming from like Thor Ragnarok, we had this incredible soundtrack. You've got these incredible fights. You've got lightning coming out of him and he's punching stuff. I mean, that stuff's awesome. Like, that's what we go to superhero movies for. And so you've got this cool character who shoots like plasma lasers, and then the final fight scene is so dark you can't even tell what's going on. And they had a jukebox in the room, so they could have like bumped it and then started playing some like sick AC/DC song or something and had their like blasting guys and stuff. But it was just like so bland. They just went the most boring route they could have with all of the actions in this movie. So yeah, just all of that I think is just a huge missed opportunity. With a lot of the scenes in the movie are just like very poorly done. It's just the movie was just confusing in a lot of spaces. Like they'll have like editing cuts where they'll just like cut ahead in the story and it just doesn't make any sense for a second. So it's just, it wasn't that great of a movie. It was a very subpar Marvel movie. And then I've already made a video about this with the whole like Brie Larson comments, and I'm not going to rehash any of that. But I think it's important to talk about that it does relate to this movie because our worries did kind of come true. The movie very clearly has like very forced, like she's a strong female character agenda, and it just comes across as like very forced. Like it did not do it well. Like Wonder Woman just did all of that just so much better. And that's not even the main, like that's not the main issues I have with this movie. The main issues I have with this movie is just boring. It just wasn't a good movie. And then you add on stuff like that and it just makes the movie even worse. Like they literally have a montage of like all the guys being dicks to her for a little bit when the Kree are like going through her memories or something. Like that's just silly. We don't need to see like, I just think that's silly. I don't think you needed that in the movie. And I think if you'd like taken some of that stuff out, the movie would still be very bland and boring. But it would have been a little bit better. It's just overall, like Wonder Woman just did everything in this movie so much better. They did not do a good job with making her a strong female character, and it's just everything they tried to do to make her a strong female character was just so forced. It just did not come across well. I thought, at least. They've done, all the other Avenger girls are great. Like, they have strong female characters in Avengers. I don't know why they failed so epically with this one. It just didn't hit at all. Like, Gamora's awesome. They just needed to make Gamora have, like, laser arms, and that would have been an awesome character. But they just have, like, a mannequin who shoots laser arms instead. I don't know what they were doing here. Yeah, I think they just did a pretty awful job introducing a character that had a lot of potential to be really cool. I didn't really feel like Captain Marvel was that strong of a character after having watched this movie. I mean, she spends most of the movie getting beat, and then at the very end, she gets her superpowers, like, unlocked or whatever, and then she's strong, but, like, the most she does is, like, blow up a ship. Like, I still feel like she's not really going to matter that much in Endgame. I didn't get the sense that she was anywhere near as strong as Thor, so I don't know, we'll see. I just thought they kind of missed the mark with this movie. I do want to talk about this because I think this is interesting. The movie is doing awesome at the box office. Like, it's killing it. Like, it really is. Brie Larson's comments, it may have actually helped this movie's opening weekend, creating all this controversy and having everybody talking about it. And it probably did. I mean, all publicity is good publicity. I partially went to go see this movie just to see if it was bad. Normally, people will clap and stuff in these movies, but there was like one or two people who were clapping and then just no one in the audience clapped. And it was just like, I think a lot of people were just very bored with this movie. That's the sense I got from watching it with my audience. We'll see if the numbers taper off next weekend. I think they will. I think a lot of people are probably going to think this is not up to Marvel standards, but who knows? I could be in the minority. Knowing all that, I'm giving Captain Marvel a Tendy score of 2 out of 6 Tendies. Honestly, just Wonder Woman and Alita did it so much better. This movie had a lot of potential and it was kind of squandered. I think this movie is entirely skippable and totally forgettable. Like, it has nothing to do with Endgame. The only thing that has anything to do with Endgame is the very last scene where it just has Captain Marvel show up. Like, that's it. So, I mean, this movie, you can skip it. Totally skip it. But that is just what I thought. Let me know what y'all thought down in the comments below. Did you like Captain Marvel, or were you as bored as me in this movie? That's all I got for this one. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Him and the Krat.